Yes, I know I was wrong about yesterday's NFL pick. Seriously, how did the Ravens lose to the Dolphins? So, for that, that's my low for today. As well as the fact it is raining hard outside. Like, real hard. Like, I really hope that doesn't affect my plans for this evening. Because Horseheads has a football game to win, and I very much would like to see that. So, with that said, what was my high? Well, my high was the fact that I got to see my dad yesterday. I was treated to a great episode of Hot Ones with, Jeremy Renner. Learned a lot of interesting stuff about him, like how he built his house with something called ironwood. How he talked about Paul Rudd at the end. That was really awesome. As well as, like, you learned a little bit more about the Hollywood process a little bit from him, like all the times he's worked with Aaron Sorkin and stuff like that. How he hung out with legit criminals to prepare for his role in the town. Like, this was a great episode of Hot Ones. So nothing bad to say about that. And my act of kindness was, considering that yesterday was Veterans Day, if I ever saw a veteran, I immediately went up and thanked them for their service, because that's what you were supposed to do. So all in all, yesterday was a pretty good day. But you're probably wondering why I'm sitting in like this. I'm not going to talk about horses again, am I? Technically, yeah, I'll try and do that, but considering, actually, hold on. Good morning, happy Friday, everybody. See, I told you guys that for every time Totally Not Mark posts a video about his blind review towards Naruto, I was going to talk about what my thoughts on that particular part that he's talking about are. Because, I did watch Naruto when it first came out, and I very vividly remember many of my thoughts and reactions on a lot of stuff. But the reason why I'm in this particular format is considering that I did watch Naruto, and considering that technically at this point in the story, things start to get narratively heavy, it would make sense for me to have this format. Hence why I'm sitting like this. So, my plan for this is I'm going to be talking about my personal experience with this particular arc that Totally Not Mark had talked about. With that said, this arc is the Sasuke recovery mission arc. Now, obviously, you need a little bit of setup for this. Having come out of two arcs in which Naruto not only helped defend the Leaf Village from Gaara, as well as went off and went for looking for Tsunade to be the fifth Hokage. Under normal circumstances, if it was me, I'd be like, I worked hard. I gained the respect of a lot of people for what I did, at least the people that are close to me, right? So I'll just continue to work hard and I'll achieve my dream of Hokage one day. But that's not Naruto, though, because there's one person that he really always wanted respect from, and that was from his rival Sasuke. On the flip side, Sasuke was touted as, the best of Naruto's class. He's had his share of a few L's. I mean, he couldn't really stop Gaara. And then there's the other thing. While looking for Tsunade, there is a group that are after Naruto for the nine-tailed fox demon within him, known as the Akatsuki. One particular member of the Akatsuki is Sasuke's brother Itachi. Now, at the beginning of the series, it's been revealed that Sasuke wants to kill a certain someone in order to avenge his clan, his family, if you will. And that being is his brother Itachi. Because Itachi is the one who killed the entirety of the Uchiha clan, leaving Sasuke to be essentially an orphan. Now, At this point in the series, we don't know why Itachi did what he did. Although, not to spoil anything, but the revelation as to why is probably one of the biggest plot twists I think I've ever seen. But at this point in the series, we don't know why. In fact, the series did a great job of touting Itachi as just a really great villain or antagonist. I'm thinking, okay, this is Sasuke is going to have to fight Itachi, but that's something we'll get into later. For now, one thing that has also been established is Sasuke and Naruto have a rivalry. They're eventually going to fight each other. At the beginning of this arc, for the most part, it's touted really as a draw because Kakashi stops them before Naruto and Sasuke clash with their most powerful attacks, respectively. Naruto had the Rasengan and Sasuke had the Chidori. Kakashi stopped him, right? Basically, back during the Chunin exams, Orochimaru said, if you want power, come to me. And basically that's what Sasuke wants. Because if he can't defeat someone like Naruto, he has no shot at being Itachi, which technically is true. Again, they really set up Itachi to be a really great villain. So Sasuke leaves the village. Meanwhile, Shikamaru, forms a team that did have Naruto in it to, bring Sasuke back. Now, throughout this arc, you see a lot of really great fights. Like, the entire team that goes to retrieve Sasuke, with Shoji and Neji and Kiba and Shikamaru and Rock Lee, they all have great fights. And when the Sand Ninja arrive, Gaara and his siblings, that was all great. A lot of great fights in there. But let's be real here. If you're a Naruto fan and you somehow happen to be watching this particular video, you know exactly what fight I'm about to talk about. And that is, technically this is Naruto versus Sasuke round 2. But for our narrative perspective, and considering that, spoiler alert, this is the end of part 1 of Naruto, I'm going to refer to this fight as Naruto versus Sasuke round 1. Now, it was around this time when anime was becoming a lot more mainstream, thanks to the fact that the internet was also becoming more mainstream. And people here in America had better opportunities to watch, at the time, essentially YouTube videos on Japanese anime shows that were in Japanese and therefore subtitled in English. Which I just wanted to point out one thing. I've seen both arguments as to, the English sub in Japanese is better, or the English dub is better. Listen, both sides of the argument have their strong suits. Personally, I'm just there to be entertained. So I really have I'm not picking one side over the other here. But it was because of the fact that I was able to see some of these fights in Japanese. By the time they got to English, I already knew what was going to happen. And you would probably think, well, didn't you just spoil the fight for yourself? Well, technically, yes. But occasionally, when you do that, you see something that's so great that even when you do see it again, it doesn't really take away from the narrative or what the message of the story is trying to convey. In this case, it's Naruto versus Sasuke round 1. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Part 1 of Naruto ends completely in tragedy because Naruto was unable to bring Sasuke back. In the end, Sasuke did go to Orochimaru, and Naruto eventually goes with Jiraiya to train for 2 years, which does give you hope. But before you get to that hope and that point of despair, where obviously, Naruto's going to bring back Sasuke. At least for me, post Dragon Ball Z, because remember I grew up watching Dragon Ball Z, Naruto versus Sasuke, and you know what, is still one of the greatest anime fights, not just anime fights, but fights in general, that I have ever seen. And I mean in general, like anime, Western animation, live action, you name it. It still holds up. Because I've seen that fight in English, I've seen it in Japanese, I've even seen straight AMVs of it. Basically, they're like really good music is playing like over the fight or whatever, and they really do a great job of like making the music stronger. In fact, no kidding, it was from, watching, because here's the thing, fun fact, I was already an Eminem fan to begin with, but then I saw Till I Collapse, an AMV that featured Naruto versus Sasuke, and seriously, before I went out for sports or football or wrestling or any of that stuff or anything competition related, I would always listen to the song Till I Collapse by Eminem for that reason. Yes, Naruto versus Sasuke is the reason why for the longest time, probably my favorite song of all time was Till I Collapse. Don't get me wrong, I still love the song, absolutely. But I will admit, I was listening to it way too much. You gotta take a tiny little break from it, moderation. So, I don't know what else to say other than, yes, Naruto versus Sasuke round 1 is in my top 10 fights I have ever seen, period. And funny enough, it's actually tied with something else. So you can only imagine. Although I said I have ever seen, and I am talking about all mediums, so if anyone is wondering, yes, Harry Potter fans out there, I definitely have Harry Potter versus Voldemort on there somewhere. Don't you worry. Looking out for you. Don't worry, Potter fans, I'm looking out for you. I am a Gryffindor, Seriously, look it up. Seriously, there was a video where I legit reveal like all of my Pottermore information. Seriously. I am a Gryffindor. And another fun fact for you, my Patronus is a black stallion. But that's something here or there. So, with Naruto versus Sasuke being in my top 10 of all time, what are the other 10? Outside of, obviously, I just mentioned Harry Potter versus Voldemort. Well, I can tell you that for now, there's at least 2 other fights from the Naruto series that are on this list. In fact, to be perfectly honest, there's actually a lot of really great fights in Naruto, and really I could do a top 10 Naruto fights in general, if I really wanted to. Seriously. But at this point in time, doesn't really call for that. But you now have, because here's the thing, again, I grew up watching Dragon Ball Z. When that series was over, I don't think anyone ever would have thought that we'd get fights of greater or equal value. Sorry, I'm an itch in my back, excuse me. But at least for me, we have. And one would even argue that we're still getting great fights like this even today. In series like, again, Naruto, One Piece, Gurren Lagann, Kill la Kill, you name it. There's been a lot of great anime fights that are greater of equal or greater value to what you see of Dragon Ball Z, even now. So I can assure you, I've seen a lot of great fights over the years. Again, in all sorts of mediums, and even in other shows that have nothing to do with anime, even other shows or movies that have nothing to do with anime or that have nothing to do with anime at all, like in the MCU or in the Lord of the Rings or even Avatar: The Last Airbender. Oh yeah, I've got Aang versus Ozai on there. Don't you worry. But Naruto versus Sasuke round 1 is easily one of those fights I've seen the most over and over again. it still holds up. And I think the strongest aspect about the Naruto versus Sasuke fight is what they were both fighting for. You know, Sasuke had even said that he and Naruto are best friends. And it was revealed that the reason why Itachi gained a certain power that he had was because he had killed his best friend. Seriously, at the end of the Naruto versus Sasuke round 1 fight, Sasuke could have easily killed Naruto. Like, seriously, Naruto was completely unconscious, and Sasuke's looking down and just like, but he didn't. Because even though Sasuke wanted to get stronger, and he did go to Orochimaru to get stronger, he says, just because you say so doesn't mean I'm not going to do what you do. I'll find a way to get stronger. I will find a way to avenge the clan and ultimately kill you, and I'll do it my way. And Naruto? He did it because Sasuke was his friend. And yeah, it's one of the main reasons why at the time I did ship Naruto and Sakura together, because he did promise Sakura to do it. So, yeah. In terms of both action, emotion, just the narrative of it all, Naruto versus Sasuke, round 1, is in my top 10 fights of all time. And it's actually tied with something else. In fact, it's not even that high on the list either. Don't worry. Again, someday I'll probably get into what the rest of the fights are. Maybe I will. I mean, full disclosure, I would have to, because I just mentioned earlier that there's at least 2 other fights from Naruto that are on this list. Of course, if you're a Naruto fan, you're probably guessing which fights they are. And which fight is tied with, again, Naruto versus Sasuke round 1. But that's something I'll have to get into. Those are 2 fights I'll be getting into when I get to them. But for now, you know, it was from this arc, I'm like, what happens next? And then that's how part 1 of Naruto ends. So what happens with part 2 and what's ultimately referred to as Naruto Shippuden? Well, that's something I'll have to get into until Mark talks about that, and I won't I. Like, favorite, chat, the subscribe button, follow me on social media, on YouTube. I'm very helping this video for all you guys are watching. Joe for doing a wonderful, wonderful Friday. Hopefully it'll stop raining soon. And remember, because I want to talk channel, always be here to let news. I'll be back. Take care and make good choices. See ya. And by the way, go Horseheads, Blue Raiders. Finish this fight. We have a game to win today. See ya.